Hi there, everyone. This is a different type of video. I am just working on some artwork and I'm going to be um, just chatting with you guys. So I've never actually recorded a video quite like this because I've attempted to do this sort of thing a few times, but I would always get a little bit too personal and controversial because I was trying to chat with you guys for a lot of time, the entire time. Um, but this time I realized that it's like I can just, first of all, not get super controversial. And if I ever run out of things to say, that's totally fine. And I can just do a time lapse. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll chat with you a little bit now and then just sort of focus on drawing, which is totally fine. Besides, I really should have had that from the start anyway. Sometimes it can be quite distracting, focusing on conversations and on drawing at the same time. So, I want to tell you guys a little bit of stuff, just sort of what's on my mind, how I'm doing, what I'm drawing, stuff like that. So, this is Etherea. She is the fairy who the protagonist of Submerged Lights finds in the lantern, right? For as you might know, if you have played the demo, which was released quite a while ago at this point, not super long ago, but a fair while ago, you will know that Etherea had a sprite that was just sort of like a normal sprite, and then she had another sprite, which was her in like a more timid, touched pose. And that worked okay. Oh, excuse me, by the way, I might be a little bit burpy. For some reason, I just tend to be burpy. I don't really know why. I mean, it's true that I did eat a little bit of something, but even like after I just have water or whatever, I get burpy. But that worked fine. But I figured, hey, for the full game, why don't I have a sprite of her in the lantern and she'll have two sprites in the lantern, the normal and the touched pose, and then she'll have two sprites out of the lantern. And I'm planning on redrawing or seriously editing um, one or both of the sprites that she had out of the lantern because they were both okay, but the neutral pose was really a little bit stiff. Here I'll just show you. Uh, So if you are aware of how the neutral pose looked, you'll know that it was a little bit stiff, and this is what I have now. It's the same kind of idea, only it's more fluid. It feels less stiff to me. Her neck and shoulders, I feel like are better. Yeah. But I'm just going to focus on drawing because it's very easy for me to get sidetracked. So, as you can probably tell, um, I probably have ADHD. Mm. Right. What else could you probably tell? Well, you can probably tell if you're familiar at all with Etherea's old artwork. that I've kind of darkened the palette a little bit. I was just working on stuff and I was like, um, for one reason or another, I don't quite remember the context, but I was putting some like multiply, like just some all black multiplication layers or some all black overlay layers on various layers. I think maybe I was trying to darken the background a little bit or something. Uh, but I ended up just having a few of those, and I was like, it actually looks kind of nice darkened. And the reason I'm wanting to darken things up a little bit is because it is just difficult. Um, well, I just like the dark colors better, and I think it makes sense that, if like she's a light source, and I feel like if she's like super bright, then the main character is like looking right at this character, right at this person, and it's sort of difficult to like see her clearly. And I want him to be able to see her. And also it kind of makes sense to me because like if you're looking right at a light source, and obviously we shouldn't really stare at bright lights because it could hurt our eyes, but I'm not wanting Etherea to be like super bright. Um, but if you're looking at a light source and it's like an old-fashioned light source that has like let's say it's a light bulb and it has a filament, I feel like after a while, you can probably make out the filament. Honestly, things have light bulbs with filaments are one of those things that quietly have been replaced that I haven't even noticed over the years until I'm realizing that it's like, oh yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, the light bulbs that we get these days are usually not made of glass, they're usually made of plastic, and they usually don't have filaments. They have something else going on. Uh, which I understand. It's more efficient in terms of like how much energy they use. It's also more difficult to break them because they're not made of glass anymore. So I can understand that as well. I don't like plastic, but I understand that it sucks when you break your light bulbs. But even though this is more efficient and makes a lot of sense, having these plastic light bulbs without filaments, I kind of miss them. I kind of miss glass light bulbs, and I kind of miss light bulbs with filaments. Yeah, I have these two pictures, this one and this one, um, in the works already, and I'm just wanting to finish them up today. This is another change from my older videos like this, because I already have a great deal of this started. I'm not needing to start it from scratch. So I'm just cleaning up, figuring out what palette I want to use, just cleaning up the colors, thinking to myself, is this too dark? Is this too light? That sort of thing. But yes, it is. So I guess I'll just explain a little bit, talk a little bit about the story. So, I've already talked a little bit about the story in other videos, I think. So, I'll just chat about what's been going on or whatever's on my mind. And if I'm inarticulate, I'll just cut it out. um, but yeah. So she is the fairy that the main character Andrew finds in on a shelf in the flooded library. And I'm also just sort of trying to draw more quickly. Oh, yes, of course. This should be up here. There she is. Um, excuse me. So another thing that's difficult about drawing a character who's supposed to be a light source is that I sort of have to unlearn the concept of shading as much. Or if I do shade her, it's just a little bit. Um, because she's a light source. So, for example, or if I do shade her a little bit, it's like, okay, suspension of disbelief. I can understand why you'd shade that, even if she's supposed to be giving off light and such. For example, under the neck here, usually I would do something because usually the light source is coming from up here. So her chin would be casting a shadow onto her neck, right? But because she's the light source, I guess I don't do that. And so this is part of what's nice about later I'll be drawing Cephizru, not today, but uh, later in the project I'll be drawing Cephizru. And she'll be my shading practice. Because she does not emit light, because Cephizru is a mermaid. But that said, I don't want to be super rigid. If something looks good, I want it to look good, you know? What I mean is, um, even if something doesn't quite make sense, if it looks good, then I should do it, I think. That said, it is nice just actually following the rules. Sometimes it's nice. So, I've made the simultaneously, uh, not to put myself down, but I guess you could say the simultaneously brave and lazy sort of decision to just merge um, the sprite with the background here, because this is just supposed to be, as you may or may not know, um, this project has character sprites with backgrounds. So I'm like, okay, so my character sprites will have backgrounds. But I was thinking for a while that I would reuse this lantern background for the other sprite where she is going to be in the lantern in a different pose. But I think it would be cooler and more dynamic and easier for me in the short run to just redo the background for the different sprite. I know that's a little silly, but I do think it would look. I'm a little torn on it because, in a way, I appreciate that I would have a different background because it's like, sometimes visual novels, especially my visual novels, can be a little bit visually similar, like not have that much variety in terms of the visuals. Because I like cozy stories where they're just talking to each other, getting to know each other, philosophizing, and stuff like that. Um, and another part of me is like, well, I appreciate having some variety, but there is something nice about like things not constantly feeling like they're moving around all the time, for no reason other than for the sake of variety. Like if she's going to be in a lantern, why not reuse the lantern background? And I think when I am reading visual novels, I find a certain amount of comfort in the reused and very similar art assets. Because it just sort of makes me feel like I'm chilling out, you know? Yeah. But this is what I've decided to do. I do have like if in the end I end up wanting to reuse this background, uh, I don't think I'd want to, but I'd be able to. I have this background saved at like an earlier stage. I could use that and edit it a little bit. Oh yeah. So at this point, Snowdrift is wishlistable on Steam. So this is the part where I say, please wishlist it on Steam. Honestly, I'm not good at advertising at all. If you tell me, if you tell me, hey, the thing you're supposed to do is do artwork, I'd be like, sure. If you tell me, hey, the thing you're supposed to do is coding or music or writing, I'd be like, sure. But my goodness, I am very not used to social interaction. I am such a recluse. Which color is it? This one. And so I barely market myself. Like I don't really go outside and like mingle with people, even if it's just about like friends, you know? So if you're telling me, oh, go outside and, or like, it won't succeed unless you spread the word about this thing, part of me doesn't even know where to start. I mean, like, I'm, in ways, in a lot of senses, I have blind spots, Like, the things I know how to do quite well. But the things I don't know how to do, I don't know anything, man. Where do I even start? If you have any suggestions of like who I could contact to help advertise my stuff, because to me, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on trucking, gonna keep on writing, gonna keep on drawing, gonna keep on making music, gonna keep on making projects, and I'm gonna, like, not to make it sound mass produced, because it's not, but I'm gonna like pump them out, and that's gonna be what I do. And Steam already has a huge number of users, so maybe I don't even need to worry about advertising. That's my natural inclination. But like the reality is that I do need to advertise. Otherwise, people won't know it exists. It's not about how how should I say? It's not nothing personal. If someone doesn't know that something exists, they don't know it exists. You know? So of course, part of the duty is to allow people to know that something even exists in the first place. Otherwise, how are they supposed to know that it's there to make any kind of educated decision on whether or not they would like to have it or wouldn't like to have it or what? So I don't know. I just don't know really where to start. Also, me being reclusive is even like, bro, my YouTube feed is like the same videos over and over again because I just have like niche things that I like kind of watch and rewatch. Like I'll be like, oh, cool, an old DDR song from 2016 or something, sure. Or, oh, uh, an old black and white Sherlock Holmes movie? Don't mind if I do. If you ask me what people are watching these days, I don't freaking know. My gosh, I don't know. I saw someone, um, maybe this is a little personal to point out, but someone actually read the demo of Submerged Lights, and I was very touched. And they made a video about it. But honestly, I did not have the courage to watch the video as of yet. Because I have a. I'm very not used to hearing. How do I say? Like I've said in previous videos, I'm kind of used to thinking that, I'm at the stage where I don't realize that people are actually watching me yet. And part of that's because I'm small, but part of it's like an inferiority complex thing, I'm sure. But you know, the idea that someone is actually there watching me and giving me feedback and stuff, it's like, oh, that's kind of scary, actually. I mean, I hope you enjoyed it. Another part of where I haven't watched it yet, I might well watch it. It was, it's not every day someone makes like nearly an hour long video about your stuff. I'm glad. But another reason that I haven't watched it yet is because uh I watched his other content and it seems like, you know, he likes making jokes and jabs at like horror games and stuff. Like again, I do not watch that many YouTubers, so please I hope that if he's listening to this that he's not offended or anything. But it seems to me like he's in kind of a similar uh going for something similar to like Markiplier. I don't know if Markiplier even does stuff like that anymore. He probably does. I know these days he's a big director and stuff. But you know, the type of YouTuber who enjoys laughing and kind of gaffing and playing horror games for funsies. And the thing is, this sort of project is really personal to me, and I don't know if it quite suits that kind of content. And because it's personal to me, and because I'm a little wuss at the moment, at the like, hopefully in the future I'll grow a thicker skin, but honestly, right now I'm a bit of a wuss. So I don't know if I have the heart at the moment to hear people making like little jabs at my game. But I know that I'm doing myself a disservice because, you know, if someone likes it, then someone likes it. And if I'm too much of a wuss to even hear someone talk about it, because I'm like, oh, they might be making fun of it, they might be upset at me or whatever. And then it's like, yeah, I get it, but if people are going to actually like your game and they're going to say that they actually like your game, then you're missing out because you're like missing out on all feedback, both encouraging and discouraging. So I know I need to get better at stuff like this. Also, I do not mean to put this guy on the spot and just like build up his video to the moon or whatever. He reviews a whole bunch of games, and he may well have not liked this one. Um, And to him, I don't think making that video was that big of a deal because he makes a lot of videos, you know, about a lot of indie games. But to me, it's like a disproportionately big deal because I have I I think this is literally the first video I've ever seen someone ever make about any one of my projects. So honestly, regardless of like what he has to say in the video or anything like that, I'm just taking that as encouraging that like some people are finding some of my stuff worthy of talking about at all, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, I found that the other day. The thing is, I was looking up submerged lights and like on uh I guess just on a search engine because I was sort of curious if people were talking about it. And I just found a whole bunch of results for like I guess submerged lights is like a term that people actually have for hardware, like lights that you have inside of your swimming pool or something like that. So I ended up getting a bunch of results that were just a bunch of lights that people buy for their swimming pools or whatever, or that are waterproof. And I was like, oh, I guess I have to specify. So then I was looking up Submerged Lights visual novel, and I just randomly came across, well, I guess not randomly, it was what I was searching for. I came across that video, and I was like, whoa. It's always nice to just know that what I like, I know that what I'm doing matters, you know? I know that. But it's nice to have a little bit of confirmation that it's like, yep, you know how you already know it does matter? Well, here's some confirmation. It does matter. People are even talking about it. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Good. Again, I shouldn't be surprised. If you do stuff, it piles up. But I'm happy. Here she is coming along. Now I don't really know what to talk about. That was sort of a big deal for me. Yeah. Well, I may go quiet and time lapse, because I don't quite know what to say. By the way, in those other videos where I got controversial, and I don't mean to keep bringing them up because I privated them and stuff, because frankly it was just a bit much, even for me. But, you know, no, you don't know. I haven't said anything. I guess it makes sense that I kind of felt the need to get that stuff off of my chest because I don't talk to many people. And I just basically, if you guys are old enough to know, you probably are. Um, like what's been happening between 2016 and 2026, there's been so much stuff happening. And I just felt the need to get it off my chest. And I guess that makes sense because I'm not used to talking to people. And then when I am talking to you guys, it's like part of me feels like it's like, okay, you're talking to the internet at large. It's like, well, the internet at large has been hysterical and absurd for like a decade. And that isn't me trying to attack any particular one person. But if I'm making a video for the internet at large, I guess I had the urge to kind of play the role of like a father figure or something, being like scolding a misbehaving kid who's been like attacking people at school and stuff, and it's like, yo, this isn't cool at all. There's been so much crap. Why don't you grow up? But like, it's difficult. It's difficult. I was talking to my mom the other day. I know I brought my mom up in a recent video too. But like I said, I'm pretty reclusive, so I don't talk to that many people. So if I'm talking to someone, it's probably to my mom or my cousins or my girlfriend or my brother or someone like that. There she is. Anyway, I was talking to mom and I was like, frankly, it's sort of a weird, unnatural relationship like that I have between my subscribers and myself. Like I don't quite know how to actually like because we're not really friends, we don't really know each other, but you care about me enough to, you know, you watch my stuff. And at the same time, it's like, yes, like I am doing a business thing, but also YouTube is sort of like a weird gray area where it's like, sure, sometimes it is business related, but also it's kind of personal, you know? So I didn't know how to feel because like if I was talking to my friends, I'd be pretty comfortable talking about those really overly serious and controversial topics. But when I'm talking to you guys, I don't even know who you guys are. Who knows? And again, I know the internet at large is very prone to like, he said something I disagree with. I'm calling him Hitler. I'm going to, scream at him until he gets like his career ruined or whatever. And it's like, holy crap, chill out. Yeah, I don't know. Relationships with subscribers is obviously like an unnatural thing that I'm not familiar with at all. But some of you guys are really cool. I know because some of you guys comment and you're like, hey, I have some thoughts about your games. And like, I'm not saying that it all needs to be like super positive. Sometimes these people have criticisms, but how should I say? Even if people don't like everything that I do, I I think I just appreciate when people are leaving me well thought out comments, you know. That said, I also have an issue, or definitely did in the past, where I would, excuse me, I would completely forget about the receiver of the comment. And I think I still have this issue, to be honest, just to a lesser extent these days. And I would forget the receiver of the comment, and I would just sort of go on like write an essay, which is like a rant or whatever about why something didn't work or why I didn't like it. Thankfully, these days, I hope I've gotten better with that, but it's tough. It's like I was saying, like, part of why I was commenting that stuff before about all of those controversial topics is because I honestly had trouble understanding that what I said would affect anyone. You know what I mean? Because it feels like you're just talking into the void. Because you're just there at your computer and no one's around. You only see text. And there's also like a strange disconnect between video maker and commenter because it's like it almost feels like a class system or something where I don't mean D&D. I mean, you know, like a class system in like society where it's like, oh well, this person is making videos, therefore I'm not at that level. I'm at like plebeian level. So because I'm not making videos. I don't know. No, I do know what I'm talking about. I'm having trouble articulating it. I think it is interesting. Human psychology, you know? Like when someone feels like they don't get heard, they say all sorts of stuff, myself included. And when people feel like, oh, well, I'm not in this camp, and I'm going to try to not get overly controversial again because I'm sure you can tell where that would go. Uh, but like, other than dehumanizing and stuff, it's like, well, it's like you don't even think about yourself in the same way as someone who's made a video, you know? And again, I mean myself as well. Like when I'm commenting on videos, I also act this way. Um, it's hard to remember that we're all human sometimes. I don't know, man. Life is complicated, huh? I also think part of this is that there's a perhaps and perhaps this is a good thing that there's a subconscious implication or subconscious assumption that when someone makes a video or writes an essay or whatever, that they mean what they're saying more because they've gone through the extra effort of putting it down on paper or making an essay video about it or something. And so it makes sense to assume that it's like, well, this is more well thought out than just my whatever thoughts about it that I haven't even articulated to myself or put down on paper. So I can understand that. But especially these days with like streaming and stuff, and this sort of content like I'm doing right now, like I'm not really thinking through what I'm saying. I'm sort of just talking. Whatever's coming off the top of my head. And the fact that it's recorded doesn't mean that it's necessarily more well thought out. You know what I mean? Here she is. Sometimes I wonder. Oh. Gosh, how did I forget about this? You guys. I made the silent column free. You probably saw the video if you're subscribed to the channel. So the thing is, it was just really personal to me, and I just wanted it to be free, you know? Besides, I know it's not that great quality because it was such a huge project, and I don't know, it just feels good to be like, because I've wanted the silent column to be free, because honestly, I want all my stuff to be free, just that I need to put bread on the table, like I say. Uh, But the silent column, I don't really see being such high quality. Like, I know it's actually pretty low quality in terms of the art and stuff. So, frankly, I feel pretty comfortable giving it away for free anyway. It's not like it's not like a magnum opus. It's a very passionate project. And that's okay. Can't expect my well, I did expect my first project to be a magnum opus. I think a lot of us expect our first projects to be a magnum opus, but the way life works is that you get better the way like as you go, usually anyway. So, of course, these days, I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, but I've gotten better at artwork in general. I know this isn't, in a after a few more projects, I'll probably look at some of the artwork that I have been making earlier in 2026, and I'll be like, man, this doesn't look good to me anymore. And that's exactly what I'm saying. We improve as we go. So it makes sense that my first project wouldn't be like a magnum opus. Although I am glad I made it because, again, it's just really personal to me. And also, I made it when I was so small. Maybe in the future I'll get bigger. But I made it when I was so small. I had no audience at all. There were no real. Like, the art wasn't great. Um, in a way, I think it was the best time to make it. Because I just could say whatever personal stuff I wanted. And that's totally fine. And the only people who play it are the people who actually want to. You know what I mean? Not the people who are coming into it because they're like, wow, the artwork looked awesome. And I know that one. I know that one a lot. I'm a very visual person. If the artwork doesn't grab me, I don't pick it up. And I have been tricked before like that. Because I was like, well, the artwork looked great. And then I read it and I'm like, oh yeah, I have extremely specific tastes in what I actually like to read. And this isn't it, champ. So I'm glad that the silent column won't kind of trick people that way. If anything, I think the artwork. I don't mean to down talk it so much, although I guess it doesn't matter so much that I'm down talking it now that it's free. It's free on itch. I couldn't make it free on Steam. Apparently there is a way to, but I couldn't figure it out. So it's $1 on Steam and it's free on itch. But anyway, in the future I might make another game, like reboot the Silent Column or something. And at that point, it may well have better artwork, hopefully. God willing, you know? But in a way, I'm glad that there's like the old, like if I do update or reboot the Silent Column, I still want to have the original version for people to play. Because I think, excuse me, because I think it's nice to know where I came from, and I think some people will appreciate that. Like, if in the future I start banging out high quality projects that look really good and have good sounding music and are well written and everything, people might look back in my at my history and be like, "Oh, this is the first thing he made. I see that there's been a lot of improvement." And that sort of thing, you know? I like doing that. I'll random through VNDB visual novel database entries, and I'll be like, oh, what's this person doing now? Oh, they've made 20 games. That's cool. And then I'll be like, oh, this is where they came from. This is where they went. And sometimes it's a little sad because I'll be like, oh, what happened to these guys? And it'll be like, oh, they made like three things and then they just were never heard of again. And it's like, man. Or, because, okay, let's be real, visual novels. Or it'll be like, oh, their stuff looks really cool. Is any of it in English? Nope. uh, you know. If you know, you know. Hmm. I don't know Japanese. I, just like many weebs before me and after me, have toyed with the idea of learning Japanese. I even have a Japanese textbook. I even have a paid audio course, which I still have access to. Rocket Japanese, baby. Uh, but honestly, it's just tough when it's like, okay, learning a language is hard, and the writing system, goodness gracious, you know. If you're a weeb, you know. I was actually thinking maybe if I were to end up learning Japanese, and maybe I will someday, but if I were to learn Japanese, you know, the issue with learning Japanese is like, well, there are several, but one of the issues is, well, there's hiragana, katakana, and kanji, and there's like a bajillion kanji, like upwards of 2,000 kanji. So the idea is daunting, obviously. But hmm, that's better. Kanji are actually made up of radicals, which are sometimes, or maybe all the time, simple kanji. And there are significantly fewer radicals than there are kanji. And being as radicals are kanji, I feel like a way to approach learning Japanese as a foreigner would be it's like maybe it would make a lot of sense to instead of jumping into kanji, or maybe even you could do this before learning hiragana and katakana, is I think there's like 200 or 250 radicals, which are again also kanji, as far as I understand. And so maybe you could just learn the radicals, and then after you've learned the radicals, maybe you could learn hiragana and katakana, and it would be a cakewalk because you've already learned 250 things. And then after that, maybe you could learn kanji, and that would be like, oh, well, this is a little bit difficult, but I recognize these are the radicals, you know. And because the radicals are also kanji, you could be. It's like, well, you don't need to learn all the kanji. You've already like learned 250 of the kanji, so you've already got like a head start. And you know, because they're all kanji, the radicals, I mean, then you could practice like using them in sentences and stuff to get a grasp on the vocabulary. And I don't know, it makes sense to me. But it's difficult because Japan's the only country that uses Japanese. Makes sense. It's Japanese and it's Japan. But, the only real incentive people have from the outside to learn Japanese is because, like, it's not like learning English in Japan. Like, I understand feeling like, oh, well, I'm never going to use this language, who cares? Sure. But English is one of the most well-known languages, like, in the world, as far as I understand. Like, it's one of the most popular, one of the most commonly used. So it's not like if you aren't a fan of America, you're never going to get any use out of English. Like, if you like America or Canada or probably a bunch of other countries also know it. Uh, I mean, obviously the UK, but like what I mean is even countries like France or Germany or other places in the world. I don't know. I don't leave the house that much, as I said, but a lot of people, even from foreign countries, know English. And so that could be sort of like saving something as a Photoshop file. And it's like, I don't use Photoshop, but I understand that this is like a universally accepted format that other art programs can understand. So if you save it as a Photoshop file, you're probably going to be able to use it in all sorts of art programs. That's sort of like how English is. But yeah, it's tough because, you know, because I'm a learning a language is tough, and then there's the all of the characters, and then there's also the thing that it's like, okay, well, maybe I do like Japan and I want to visit Japan. Okay, but at the end of the day, I'm Christian, and I know that Christianity is very uncommon in Japan, at least reportedly so. Who knows? It might be going up these days. But like the idea that and a lot of visual novels are also like, okay, so it's probably going to like they might touch on some Christian themes, but in the end, I just don't really agree with some of their like core fundamental beliefs. And so that's also sort of a thing that discourages me from learning Japanese. It's like, oh, well, you could read a whole bunch of visual novels that aren't translated into English. It's like, yeah. I mean, a lot of them probably have very Buddhist themes or other themes that I'm not really fond of or don't agree with. But it would be interesting to like open up an entire new like world of work that I could read. That would be fascinating. And as you might know, if you've read The Silent Column, I think the idea of learning languages is very interesting. Or if you've read A Lily from the Lightless Water, I bring it up there too. Because Lethal, the love interest in A Lily from the Lightless Water, has never known any languages. So she learns the first one with the protagonist, Ron. I just find it interesting because, it's sort of cute teaching someone a language, but also, I don't know, learning a language is interesting to me. Anyway, I'm going to take a break here and I'll come back later. See you soon. Hello, everyone. I'm back. And you can tell that I'm serious because, check it out, I'm setting a timer. So I just want to show you. Like, look, this picture I've been working on for a while. It's not done, Bro, it should be done by now. I've been working on it for far upwards of an hour, and I just want to get it done. I'm wanting also to do like on my schedule, I have another drawing that I want to finish today, like I showed you. So let's just do it. Okay. Alt tabbing is a little bit sluggish on my computer when I'm using OBS, it seems. Well, let's just get this going. Good thing I gave myself an extra minute. Okay. Actually, wait. I want you to be able to hear the timer when it goes off. There we go. Now you'll hear the timer when it goes off. Come on now, come on, come on, come on. Okay. So yeah, let's just finish her up, make her look good. By Jove, I have other things to do, and Bob Ross can paint an entire landscape in 20 minutes or so. And then here I am. I noticed that I was zoomed way in because I was just sort of chilling, enjoying talking with you guys, which is nice. But I have stuff to do. I can't just talk all day. Although, perhaps I have something of a natural turn for talking, and that helps me tell stories. So that's nice. Let's just make her look good. Mostly, yeah, I noticed I was all zoomed in. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep on working on her zoomed out. So the goal is to just finish her, and also I'm not going to be doing any facial expression variants today. That's the only facial expression I need her to have today. I'll do her facial expression variants and the facial expression variants of her other sprite on another day, and that's fine. So mostly I'm going to be working on her little feeties. I think it's nice that she's barefoot. I think it's cute. No shade at all if people have foot fetishes. I'm not into feet that way. Again, you can tell I spend a lot of time on the internet, right? Based on like some of the other stuff I was saying, and like, okay, I'm talking about how I think her being barefoot is cute, but that doesn't mean I'm like, it's not like a fetishy thing. The internet's weird, man. Touching grass is so important, honestly. Now that it's spring, I've been walking around more and having a good time. I live in a cold part of Canada, so it I can't always go outside because it'll be like minus 30 degrees Celsius, or sometimes it'll be minus 40. And for those the reason I bring up minus 40 is because yes, it will sometimes be minus 40, but part of why I bring it up is because minus 40 degrees Celsius is the same as minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, as far as I've heard. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm pretty sure it's the same. So, you Americans out there, you know minus 40 is ridiculous. Like, come on, really? I don't even live in Russia or anything. Could you imagine how cold it gets in Russia? Like, are you kidding me? Why would anyone even live there? Don't they have the coldest city on Earth or the coldest town on Earth? Okay, let's just. Okay, that's my time. Okay. I might end up going overtime just to like polish up, but I'm wanting to stick pretty close to the timer. I know, I know, I know. People like owning land. I get it. But if like, I think that place, I don't know too much about it. I've just heard in passing about it like years ago. So I am by no means an authority at all, and you should do your own research instead of just blindly trusting some random dude on the internet. But I think it gets to like minus 70 Celsius, which is absurd. Are you kidding me? Could you freaking imagine? How is anyone supposed to live there? That's so uninhabitable it hurts. Like, literally, it hurts until it doesn't hurt you anymore, in which case you can tell that you're very close to death. Because that's that hypothermia. If it stops hurting. Oh, yeah, I guess this isn't common knowledge to everyone. Okay, so I live in Canada. So when we're growing up, we get taught about hypothermia and the dangers of hypothermia. So for those of you who don't know, okay, 25. Come on now. Give me back. Give me back. Give me back. What are you doing? Oh my gosh, this lag is killing me. No, go. For goodness sake, are you kidding me? Bring up my thing. Thank you. Holy crap. I just wanted to alt tab and check my time. Whatever. It'll go off when it goes off and then I'll edit it a little bit more. OBS really does lag my computer a little bit. I don't have the most powerful computer, but it's still a little alarming. You'd think it wouldn't be it's usually not a big deal, but sometimes it's a problem, I guess. Ah, now my palette is malfunctioning a little bit. There we go. Anyway, technical issues. Um, yeah, so in Canada we are taught about hypothermia from a young age, and we are taught that one of the final stages of hypothermia is that you feel overwhelmingly hot to the point where you start taking off your clothes in the middle of freezing conditions, which is like, holy crap, that's terrifying. And then, after you've done that, uh, your body recognizes what's going on and you die of shock, of temperature shock, because your like nervous system catches up or whatever and it's like, holy crap, I'm freezing to death. So you just die of shock. Actually, this is reminding me a little bit of like videos I would watch about the Titanic. And yeah, a lot of the time when people die of cold, it's dying of shock. And apparently, one of the survivors of the Titanic, I think he was a cook or something. Again, I'm not a historian, and you should check your own facts. But that's looking good. Now I'll work on her feet. Um, anyway, he was one of the survivors, and he was drunk. And it makes sense to me that he survived because a lot of other people were dying of shock, but because he was drunk, like I guess that like helped him not be shocked, so he just didn't die of shock. Also, it helped cool his nerves, you know? Like I do not want to make light of the Titanic at all. But when you think about it logically, it's like everyone's freaking out, understandably so, but everyone's freaking out, right? And what this guy did, as far as I know, was that he went to like the tip of the ship when it was sinking, and then he just sort of walked like he just sort of waited for the ship to sink. Because like when you think about it, like yes, it's devastating when a ship is sinking because like things are sliding back and forth and everything. Like things are sliding. Apparently, like some things like are so big and moving so fast that people end up sometimes getting crushed and dying, and tensions are super high. But if you just go to the tip of the ship when it's sinking, you can just like hang on to the ledge, and you're at the highest point, so it's not like anything's going to fall on you. And then it's like, okay, well, it actually makes the most sense to me that, like, well, when I'm in the water, it's because the ship has sunk. And again, nothing is above you, so it's not like anything's going to hurt you. Because nothing's like gonna crush you, nothing's gonna fall on you. So you might as well just wait. Besides, that way you'll be in the water for the least amount of time. And that way you will, have the issues of cold way less. And of course, this is all assuming that there are no that there are not enough lifeboats, which of course on the Titanic there weren't enough lifeboats. Um, but yeah. So he was just cool as a cucumber, drunk, went to the one safest place on the entire ship. One, two, three, four, five toes. Okay. I want to check the time, but I don't want my computer to lag. Anyway, and then he was drunk, so his nervous system wasn't getting shocked from the cold. And then he just sort of he ended up surviving. He ended up getting picked up by like I think maybe one of the lifeboats picked him up, and he was fine. Keeping a cool head really is important, hey? Yes. If you are ever so cold that your body feels like it's boiling and that you feel like an overwhelming need to like take off your clothes, don't. If you do, you could die. Like that is the step before you die. So I just thought I'd share that. I know it's a little random. I'm just sort of saying whatever is on my mind. And it just occurred to me that it's not common knowledge because, maybe you guys don't live in a place like this that gets like minus 40. So there's there's a tidbit for you. Okay, I'm gonna risk checking the time. Okay, I've got 18 minutes left, so almost halfway done. Good. Another reason that I'm just wanting to get more comfortable um, using timers, and I'm wanting to do like 2 pictures a day. So the only way to do that is to not casually zoom in and slowly draw for like 5 hours. And just to be like, yep, it might not end up looking the best, but it'll get done. And it'll look pretty good, and it'll be good art practice. So I'll just do it, you know? This is her in her lantern. So you might think that she hates her lantern, but actually she's been in it from such a young age that it's kind of it's the only life she knows is in this lantern. And so she kind of thinks of it like her house. And so when the protagonist thinks about setting her free, getting her out of the lantern, she worries a little bit because, oh, see that? That's my tablet malfunctioning. It's usually just a loose connection, I've learned. Now it's better. Okay. So she gets a little worried because the only fairy who she has known to escape from her lantern escaped from her lantern because it was shattered. So she's like, well, hold on. I don't want to go through something as extreme as like shattering my lantern, you know? Because I kind of have a soft spot for that. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. What's my time? 15 minutes, almost half done. Okay. Could you imagine if I called this done? I was like, yep, job's done. Nah. Okay. So sometimes I'm so harsh on myself, and then I look at pictures that other people have done, and I'm like, I have no problem with this whatsoever. I'm just hard on myself. And I think that's sort of how I'm feeling about these harsh colors. Like, I actually think they're kind of cool. I'm just, and like, I like being abstract and stuff. So screw it, you know? Just have fun. If I have fun, other people have fun too. Hmm. That doesn't quite work as well as I wanted. Yeah, honestly, you can get so lost just zooming in and working like way too long on tiny details. I have done it many times, or at least several times, I'm sure. Yeah, that looks good. Excuse me again. If you recognize that song from that little whistle and from the context, then you will definitely know what I meant earlier in the video when I said, yeah, old DDR music. Although I don't think that was in DDR, probably not. But that sort of era. Okay. How the heck does Bob Ross? I know he's not with us anymore. Oh, 13 minutes left. I'm just looking at the timer and freaking out. How do people do this, man? Well, whatever, I'll learn. Honestly, a lot of it's probably just practice. Like, I'm feeling much more comfortable talking to you guys in this video than I was in those earlier videos where I was just sort of over being overly serious and overly political and stuff. And nothing's really changed. I've just gotten. Whoa, wow, did you see that? That was so bad. Although, honestly, this is sort of a cool look, but not by accident. Okay, there we go. Just a little wiggle. Make the, make sure the connections are good. Before, I didn't know what to do about that, and I would end up, like, restarting the program or restarting my computer. Sometimes it gets so bad that I think I do still do those things, but often I think I just need to make sure that the connection is good. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks so cool. Okay, sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. It stopped showing the circle for a second. I don't know if you saw that on the recording. But for just a second there, I was going blind. Okay, her foot's covered up. There's her foot. Good, good. Okay, that's fine. Well, hey, I think I might be done. Maybe I'll just put a little. I've been watching Bob Ross more lately, and it's very nice. He's a nice guy, and you can tell that he's been through stuff, but he's still positive, you know? And he's just friendly. I like that. Also, it's been encouraging because, well, like I said before, I'm Christian, and I can tell that he's Christian. And also, look at that. I kind of want to keep that. But also, a lot of the time on the internet, there are of uh, duos of people, and so it can be a little bit discouraging if you're just solo, you know. But then here's Bob Ross, one of the most beloved, like I guess, proto content creators out there, and he just does it solo. And it's true that part of that is that he is specifically instructing people how to do technique. And that's true, how to do his painting techniques. But he's also just sort of talking about whatever's on his mind, you know? So I think it's encouraging. So I don't know how to advertise, but I know how to draw. I know how to upload videos to YouTube. Oh, I thought that might have gotten the transparency, but it got the brightness. Hmm. What if I darken? Hmm. Hmm. It's sort of cool, but not what I was hoping for. What time am I at? 9. Okay, 9 minutes left. Hmm. It does look cool. Maybe I can put a little red. There we go. I feel kind of like an a-hole to what? Scoop. Okay, there I am. Whew. I feel kind of like an a-hole to even imply that there's like a similarity between me and Bob Ross because obviously Bob Ross is very beloved. But I guess I'm kind of trying to do something similar. I mean, kind of like what I was saying before earlier in the video when I was comparing that YouTuber to Markiplier. It's like, yeah, I understand Markiplier is a really beloved YouTuber and everything. Look at that. That's so cool. But I think it's fair to point out when people are trying to do something similar, right? It's not me saying that I'm Superman or whatever. Anyway, Bob Ross, yeah, man. I've never done oil painting. I've only ever done watercolor painting and acrylic. I'm not a fan of acrylic. I prefer watercolor. I like watercolor quite a lot. I think that looks nice. Am I crazy? Look at that. And there's her expression. And I've got a little bit over 7 minutes left. That's cool. I like abstract stuff like this, you know? Okay, and now maybe on the other side, it'll be sheer like that. That's sort of cool. That's sort of cool. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments if I'm crazy or if I'm not crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay. It looks sort of nice. Yeah, it looks sort of nice. I take things so seriously to the point where it's like, okay, how many pictures have you done? It's like, maybe I've done one today. And I'm not making fun of people who only do one a day. But for myself, like, this is what I'm dedicating my time to doing. So I've got quite a lot of time on my hands. If I can only do one a day, it's like, come on, really? One? If it was like a really nice one and I was making a visual novel with very limited art assets, then it's like, okay, I can understand, but what's my time? 5 minutes, eh? I can do it, baby. Check it out. Done picture, am I right, guys? Okay, let's add admission. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's picking up my whistling, to be honest. I brought up my whistling before, but I don't know if you can actually hear it, which is fine. If you can't, that's fine. But that little thing I said about what song I was whistling wouldn't have made much sense, huh? Right. So what I was talking about before about like filaments is that oh, that's pretty. Mm-hmm. Is that even if something's light source, sometimes you can still see the filament, like if you're looking at it. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to like look at um bright lights or whatever. But if you have like a dim one, it's my time. 3 minutes, eh? I can do that. If you've got like a dim light bulb, you can see the filament even when it's on. So before I was thinking that that would be kind of how Etherea is seen. That's how you see the detail on Etherea is because even though she's a light source, you can see her kind of like a filament. Mm, hmm I don't want to be crazy with this. When I'm rushing, it's very easy for me to feel a little crazy. Let's see. hmm Honestly, as long as stuff's beautiful, I don't really care about the technicality of it, you know? But that said, I was thinking about this earlier in the recording too. Um, Sometimes it's nice being a little bit technically accurate. 2 minutes, okay. Gotta not lose track of time. I guess I can talk to you guys more later today because I'm going to be recording the me finishing up the other picture. So you can join me for that if you would so choose to. But yeah, there she is. That's about all I have time for, I guess. Yeah, 1 minute left. Hmm. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Oh my gosh. I think I just noticed something I need to do. Her little wings here. Let's just finish these up. It's sort of interesting talking to you guys with a time limit. Helps me to not get so sidetracked. And honestly, for someone with ADHD like myself, undiagnosed, but let's be real, I'm pretty sure I have it. Um, Sometimes it is helpful just to have something to do to help kind of distract me while I work. In a way, it helps me to focus more, which I know sounds strange to people who don't have ADHD. But for people who do, yep, 30 seconds, okay. They'll know that, like, honestly, sometimes they just pay attention better if they have a Rubik's Cube in their hand or something that they're fiddling with. My mom has ADHD too, and sometimes it helps her to focus on like conversations when, for example, she's driving or walking or something. And I am the same way. So I guess it's not surprising. There it goes. It's still beeping though. I have. Okay, there. Now I'm going to keep that as an intentional. Sometimes it's nice when it's like, oh, that's like a technical inaccuracy, but it's cute anyway, and no one really minds. Okay, well, that's what I have. What do you guys think? Good? Bad? Decent? I think it's pretty good. That's cool too. This is cool. Okay, 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 okay. Hmm. Hmm. That's cool. Sure. Okay, so this is her done then. So, well, I can do one more little thing. Let's see. I want to do this a little. Okay, well, that's all I really wanted to do. Sure, that's good. So I'll see you very soon. Literally, I'll just. Do I even like that? Should I remove it? No. Hmm. Yeah. I like it more than I don't like it. Maybe I'll do a tiny bit here. I don't want to go too much over time. Otherwise, there's no point in the alarm. I have other stuff to do, I say as I continue. What do you think? That makes sense. It's brighter towards her. I think it's nice. Hmm, I'd say I like this better. Okay, I'm done. So I'll see you very soon. I'm just going to end this recording and start working on the other one. And for you, I'll upload both of these at the same time, so you can just go to the next video. Yeah, where I will be doing, um, just a moment here. By the way, I use Brave as my browser. It's so nice to not have ads on YouTube videos. Okay, file packer. Window. Okay, so the next one I'm going to be working on is this one, which I want to ding dang finish today as well. And I have enough time. It'll be good. I'll see you there in the next video. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening. And thanks for watching. Bye bye. Hey there, everyone. Well, look at the time. Okay, so I am going to be finishing up this picture here. Actually, not this picture, but this picture. Yes. Um, which should be good. I'm gonna give myself an hour, and yeah. Also, sorry, just a second here. Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm a little bit out of it. It's been a while. I had some dinner. I also wanted to show you that I did technically work a little bit more on this, just because there was this area over here. Where I felt like I needed to edit it a little bit, so I did. I didn't notice that this line was a little bit scuffed until later. But yeah, now this is done, and I'm gonna start working on my other picture. Okay, so let's start. There we are. Okay, and yes, you will hear the alarm go off. Okay, here I go. So, oh my gosh, what a strange day this is. But yeah, basically, if I can just make a habit of doing some artwork and not worrying too much about eye-watering details, then I could even just like record these videos more often. And sorry, I was all full of energy, and then I had some food, and then I got a little tired, and then I started watching like some videos while I was eating, and they were okay, but honestly, they just there was some stuff in it that upset me and such. And so I was like, I don't need that. I turned it off. Unfortunate, but that's okay. Sometimes that's how it goes, you know? I can't expect to agree with everything. So I might be a little bit quieter this time. Still, it'll be nice to get this done. Trying not to zoom in a whole bunch here. And of course, like I said in the previous video, this visual novel has sprites with backgrounds, and by that I mean sprites with like backgrounds that are native to them, not like universal backgrounds. Yeah. So I will be drawing a nice abstract background for Etherea. I had a background for her before, but then I did that overlay, and then basically the entire background completely went away when I darkened up the colors, which is fine. Honestly, just the premise of, well, I've got to record this video and I have this timer. It just sort of helps me to make artwork, you know? Because if I don't do this, then it's very easy for me to, like, the day sort of goes by and I don't really do much. And then I'm like, why didn't I do any work today? And, it would be good to form the opposite habit, I think. Although, as you can see, I kind of run out of things to say, which is fair. I think I had other things that I wanted to talk about, but that video kind of threw me off. It's okay. Hey, if I'm quiet, then I'll just time lapse. Honestly, that's a nice thing to know. I think before, when I was doing those controversial videos, um, part of why I was doing, like, part of why they got so touchy was because I was feeling the need to, like, keep up talking. And also, I didn't set a timer, so I was literally, like, talking nonstop to the best of my ability for 5 hours straight. And I was like, oh, geez, I think this is much better. I like Etherea. You may or may not know this, but Submerged Lights was originally intended to be a bigger visual novel with more love interests. It went through different phases. And it's sort of interesting to think about this because I may well use some of these concepts in future visual novels, or some of these characters, even. Um, so, for example, it used to be there. The most love interests that there used to be was, I think, five. Let's see. There was Etherea, Cephasru the mermaid. Very unsurprisingly, I considered her uh, like to potentially be a love interest. Um, then Galena, who I actually have drawn. It's cool because Cephasru and Galena do appear in the game as support characters, so that's cool. Um, and Galena is another fairy like Etherea who gets saved in the library and she was like tucked away in a back room or like in a room. Yeah. And then there was Olive, who was a harpy, and Coriander. And Coriander was a villager from the village, but not like from the village in recent times, from the village in ancient times. And basically, she was thrown into the volcano against, like, it turned out the mountain was actually a volcano, and that she was thrown into the volcano against her will by the villagers who had hoped to, like, cause the volcano to uh I don't know the technical term, but they wanted the volcano to die so that they didn't all have to move away. And also because they wanted to mine stuff in the volcano. Because I did some research about this a little bit, just a little bit, but apparently interesting things can be mined from uh, dead volcanoes. And she was going to be this basically like a ghost, but also sort of like a water girl. So basically, the idea was that she was. Hmm. I guess I ought to keep things a little bit vague because someone might steal the ideas. Especially if I point it out. I shouldn't point that out. Well, whatever. So there were going to be five love interests. And I had written the common root, which was around 50,000 words, if I recall correctly. And it was okay, but honestly, it had. I, I was talking about this the other day with someone in person, and it's like, I honestly don't really like when visual novels have like one protagonist and like here are like five love interests. And honestly, that's kind of depressing to me because it's like if you care about the girls, you want them to be happy, you know? And so with that sort of format, a lot of the time, like sure, sometimes they will go out of their way to say, "Oh, and they end up happily in relationships with other people, even if the protagonist doesn't choose them." But a lot of the time, it's just like, wow, here are some nice love interests. Aren't they nice people? Don't you sympathize with them? Okay, well, screw like who cares about four-fifths of them or whatever? Because I don't know, it's kind of depressing and like egotistical because it's like they're trying to sell us on like caring about these people, but then like if you don't choose them, you're just supposed to be okay with the idea of them staying single forever, all the ones that you didn't choose. It's sort of messed up, you know? Um, so I prefer the idea that, you know, there are a bunch of pairings where there isn't just one guy, and it's not healthy for the one guy either because he feels torn in a million different directions because he's the only guy. So I prefer the idea that there are multiple pairings of like protagonists and love interests, and that way, canonically, everything would happen and everyone would end up happy, you know? I think that's much better and it's more realistic, and it leads to your world feeling more fleshed out because sometimes I've mentioned this before, but I think it was quite a while ago. Sometimes I think people struggle with having their worlds feel empty. And it's like, well, of course the world feels empty. There aren't that many characters, and the only characters that there are pretty much just love interests. Like maybe there will be support characters, like related to the love interests in some way. But basically, the entire thing of like a harem setup is sort of just exploring one kind of relationship. There's only one guy. Like, of course your world feels empty, you know? Um, but anyway, when I was writing that common route, I was having issues with that because that's like sort of the standard way that people think of writing visual novels. And I was writing it that way. And that is how I wrote the silent column as well. But, I want everyone to be happy. And the protagonist also wants everyone to be happy. And it ended up being really hard on the protagonist in that, like, draft of Submerged Lights where there were five love interests and one guy. And, like, some of the love interests started feeling sidelined and stuff because obviously they needed to like share the spotlight and everything, and it's like, oh well, it's her turn with him and stuff, and it just sort of felt crappy for everyone. And I would have probably uh considered like adding multiple pairings, like it's like, oh well, maybe this guy isn't with this girl, but there's another guy who can be with the girl. But the thing is, the setting of Submerged Lights is very specific, and it makes sense that there's only one guy because um, it's a flooded town, and the only reason that the guy is there is because he showed up not knowing that it was a flooded town, and everyone else is gone. And the only people who are there are like fairies and harpies and people who have been stuck there because of tragic circumstances. And it just sort of didn't work, unfortunately. I didn't want the guy to feel like he was getting torn apart. That's really sad. And I want it to be that, like, well, like, don't get me wrong, I understand and can appreciate that, like, love triangles are things that actually occur in real life, and there can be drama that comes from that. And sure, like, I get it, but, like, I don't think it should just be a given, you know? Anyway, I'm wanting to draw more quickly, more often. I do think it would be good practice because I think I would improve as an artist, and I think I would also um, get better at letting things go and calling things done instead of like agonizing about making everything perfect all the time. It's like, maybe it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's okay, call it done, you know? I think that's a healthier attitude to have about this sort of thing. So I'm thinking, um, what am I thinking? I'm thinking, let's see here. This is a little delicate. Just give me a moment here. There she is. Good. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe in the future I'll try to just dedicate 2 hours for each picture. And I think that's fine. Because these visual novels, I want to have like a significant amount of artwork, not like a super light amount. Excuse me. And so I think it makes sense to be like, well, you're solo deving, like solo developing, you're trying to make these relatively quickly, and it's good practice, and 2 hours is good. And that way you could easily do two a day, because that's 4 hours. And there would, once I got used to it, it would be very like, well, um, how shall I say? It would sort of just be a given that I could do two a day. Because it's not that hard. It's on the schedule. I've done it before. It just takes 4 hours. What's the big deal, right? And then I could maybe do a little bit of other stuff with the rest of my day. Yeah, I've talked about this before, I think, but I'm planning on doing 8 visual novels this year. I really want to try my best to be like, no, I am taking this seriously. Here I go. I have this opportunity. I'm going to make the best of it. And so I'm wanting to do 8. And I think, unfortunately, I've had a little bit of a slow start, which I say quite often, unfortunately. But I think it makes sense that I say that quite often because I'm just not used to it yet. I've never been used to it. When you think about it, like, obviously there's going to be something like this near the beginning. That's just how it works. I've never done it before in the same way that I'm wanting to do it, you know? Well, so of course it's going to be different. But sometimes people will, like, I've been watching some videos of people who are working on, like, webcomics and stuff, and they can draw quite a bit in a day. And they can be like, yep, don't worry too much about making everything perfect. Like, yes, you do want it to look good, but at the same time, it matters what your output is. So, at some point, you just need to call it good, even if you aren't super thrilled. And that's how things get done, you know? Of course, it's great if you fall in love with it. That'd be awesome. But, you know, sometimes they aren't all bangers, and that's okay. And these, like, webcomic people are inspiring to me because I'm wanting to do something quite similar when you think about it. And it's sort of difficult to compare visual novel making to anything really, but I guess if you are going to compare it to something, webcomics, that makes a lot of sense. It's digital, there's a lot of artwork, there's music. Well, there's not music, but there's story. You have to like juggle a lot of artwork. Yeah, it makes sense. I am still wanting Uh, I do think I have enough time still to do 8 this year, so I'm glad about that. I was scheduling and stuff, and it's like, yep, seems like I could, so that's good. Hopefully it picks up. That'd be really cool, you know. There she is. What's my time? Okay, about 40 minutes. So the thing is, I think it's probably significantly easier to just start a new picture from scratch than it is to edit, like heavily edit a picture like I'm doing. Like, this is fine, and I like this sprite. Um, so I'm glad I'm doing it. But in the future, I might just see an image like this and be like, okay, I'll just start from scratch. It'll be faster. You know what I mean? Because it's true. But I do like this pose, so I don't know. Sometimes it's worth keeping, hey? Besides, I kind of like the legacy of this one because um this is the same, it has the same DNA of that earlier sprite of hers. So that's nice. A little bit of continuity between the demo and the final game. Actually, yeah, like I said, I drew Galena. Um, while I'm editing, I guess, while I'm editing this video, I'll put a little picture of her up on screen. So this is the CG of her when she's getting freed from the lantern. She's cute. I think she turned out pretty well. Again, I'm maybe not like the most thrilled with how she turned out. Honestly, the angle was quite difficult. Um, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, how do her wings interact with her hair, that sort of thing. Um, let's see. What's I've got to go to her wings. Wings. Whoops. Okay, yeah, that's the same color as her hair, right? About. Actually, well, it's fine. I honestly don't really mind there being a little bit of inconsistency. Okay, okay. So it's a little lighter. Well, anyway, it'll work out. But yeah, I don't really mind there being some inconsistency between my pictures. I think it's kind of fun. Maybe that's a little weird to say, but I think it's kind of fun. As long as it's mostly the same, it's fine. Kind of makes it feel rustic, you know? And I don't mean that as like an excuse to not improve, but I just mean, I don't know, something about it's cool. Feels human. So I've learned that you cannot hear me whistle. Unfortunate. But you can hear me hum a little bit. So that's nice. I know that's a little random, but that's okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The song that I was singing before was an old techno trance sort of song from back in the day called Kiss Me Again. I forget who the artist is. You can look it up. If you look up Kiss Me Again techno, you'll probably find it. Sometimes these sorts of songs get stuck in my head in a nice way. Okay, what's my time? Okay. For the longest time, I wasn't able to whistle. All the kids at school would be able to whistle, and I couldn't. All I could do was I ended up figuring out that I could whistle between my teeth, sort of thing. I don't. I mean, I can't really give you a listen to what that sounds like, but it wasn't like a strong whistle. It was a strange whistle. I whistled by having my tongue to basically the roof of my mouth behind my teeth, like almost almost sort of pressing up, not quite, but like where my teeth meet the roof of my mouth. I learned to whistle that way. And it I was kind of happy with it because at least I could whistle. Um, but it wasn't like again, it wasn't like a strong whistle. It sounded not really full bodied, if you know what I mean. Eventually, and I mean way later, after I graduated high school and stuff, I'm pretty sure, I figured out how to actually full bodied whistle. So that's nice. Got to keep in mind my pacing here. As for the numbers of fingers and toes, you might have noticed that I'm not super strict about it. Especially because sometimes you just can't see the number of fingers or toes based on the angle. It's in it's incorrect to think, okay, 30 minutes ish. It's incorrect to assume that when you're drawing a hand or a foot that you need to draw all of the fingers or toes all the time because the truth is, depending on the angle, sometimes they're hidden. So if you constantly try to draw all of them all the time, it's not going to look right. Excuse me. By the way, I'm not at all saying that I draw the perfect hands or feet. I'm just saying it does sort of boggle my mind a bit that sometimes people will have serious trouble with hands when most people have two hands. You could literally just draw your offhand. Like you could just do it. You have the references. It's fine. This is sort of an odd spot. Okay. There's no excuse. You can get better with it. There's no reason you can't get better with it. You know what I mean? It's not like it's something complicated. What I mean is, I guess it is a little complicated. What I mean is, it's not like it's something that you don't have access to, you know? It'd be different if it was like, draw an accurate steam engine, like a steam train. It's like, I don't have that on hand. I can't draw that from life. Sure, you could look up pictures on the internet, but it's not the same as drawing from life. I mean, it's way better than nothing. Sometimes online references can be very useful. But drawing from life is nice to teach yourself. Because your head and eyes and maybe even the subject will be just sort of passively moving around a little bit. And so you'll get used to like with just a reference picture from the internet or whatever, um you won't get used to how should I say? When drawing from life, because of these passive little movements, She's looking way better. Okay, good, good, good. Because of these passive little movements, you kind of get used to seeing your subject in 3D, you know? I mean, I know that's kind of obvious because you're drawing a 3D thing in person, but like, it just sort of helps you to compensate. Um, I feel like you understand more what you're actually drawing and looking at because you're peripherally taking in all of these microscopic or like these micro changes to angles and stuff. And you will choose to not draw everything, every little detail that you see because you can't. You're drawing something 2D and you're seeing something 3D that's like moving around a little bit. But yeah, I think that has value, I think. That said, definitely there is a place for drawing based on photo references. So, I will probably revisit Coriander in a different continuity. And Olive is just a really sweet harpy, and she could pretty much just have her own game in her own continuity. But I was thinking, Cephizru the mermaid, and I've talked about this before on the channel, but again, it's been a while. I was working on Snowdrift for a while, so I haven't actually been talking about Submerged Lights that much lately. So I was thinking that Cephizru would have a visual novel where uh, it's sort of about like what happens to her after Submerged Lights, and you also get to see like what she does in the winters because I think that's interesting. And right now I'm planning that this will be a similar to Snowdrift, just a cozy, you're in a cabin with a loved one type of visual novel. And I also think it's interesting because back when I was developing her as a love interest, I had given her a backstory. So she actually has a backstory. She's not just some random mermaid. And I was counting on exploring that backstory back when there were five love interests, as you could imagine. But then there weren't five love interests anymore. But she's still there, fully like defined and everything. Um, so yeah, I'm wanting to make a game where she is a love interest. And like I said before, earlier in this video, I was like, well, it's a little bit difficult with submerged lights because the setting is very specific because it's a flooded town, so it makes sense that there wouldn't be more than one protagonist. And yes, that's true, but um, Cephizru isn't tied to that specific location in the setting. Like Coriander would be, because I was planning that that volcano was the mountain in that town, right? So she would have been tied to that setting or that location. And I was thinking that Olive would also be tied to that location, although honestly, she can be anywhere. But when I was thinking of making it like five love interests, I was thinking that she would be tied to the setting too, and that she would know about coriander. But Cephizru, and obviously Galena is tied to that setting because she's another fairy who was freed. But Cephizru, as you can imagine, she was not originally in the village because the village was originally above water. And so it's implied that there's a connection to the sea, and that after the village was flooded, Cephizru came from somewhere via sea and ended up in the village that was flooded. And so she can just swim back out to the sea and go wherever she wants as long as it is connected to the sea. So, yeah, she is not tied specifically to that location. And after this, when this story ends, she ends up going somewhere else. It's honestly a little bit bittersweet because she was wanting to get to know the main character a little bit more. Excuse me. I'm a bit gassy. Um, yeah, she was wanting to get to know the main character a little bit more, and because he was the first human she's ever met. But well, that's not true. Well, depending on your definition of met. So Cephizru is a half mermaid, so she knew her dad, and her dad was a human being. But the protagonist of Submerged Lights was the first human she ever met. If you count, if you define met as, you know, someone that you actually meet and who just hasn't been around your whole life, you know? Anyway. Okay, doing good. 21 minutes. I may end up going a little bit over time, but that's okay. Uh, like I said, I think maybe it would be a little bit quicker to just do an entire new thing from scratch in some cases instead of like overhauling, you know? I guess that's why some people end up like abandoning buildings and stuff. Every once in a while I watch videos about um for one reason or another there were money troubles in a village or whatever, and all these different buildings just sort of ended up getting abandoned. And sometimes it's because, well, basically it's just cheaper to not like properly demolish them. So they just leave them and walk away. And at the same time, they end up getting to be in such disrepair that it would just be way too big of a hassle to repair it properly. And they'd rather just honestly destroy the entire thing and start over, you know? And I get that. Yeah, I get that. Sometimes it is just easier. I was thinking maybe I'd release Cephizru's visual novel sometime in the winter because her visual novel takes place in the winter. Doesn't that just make sense? Besides, after like I'm going to be God willing, I'm going to be finishing up Submerged Lights and releasing it relatively soon. So, um, if I, for example, were to release um, Cephasru's visual novel in December or something like that, then I feel like it would be cool because it's been a while since we saw her in the year, you know? So maybe some people would be like, oh, she's the no way. And then they'd pick it up. I think that'd be cool. I know how it is. Okay, 18 minutes. Yeah, I don't know if I'll have enough time to do. It's a pretty heavy touch-up job going on here. This is good. This is teaching me, you know? Okay. Not wanting to fuss too much over the details. There she is. There's her expression. Okay. And now, sometimes I like to keep these layers so I can be like, here's before and after, and really just see my progress. So now, let's go and work on her feeties. Sometimes I wonder about you people. I don't know much about, like, obviously I'm a person, although, I know that isn't necessarily a given with all the AI stuff. Mm. Hmm. Excuse me. What I mean is, I wonder what kind of people watch videos like this. But then again, I think I'd enjoy watching videos like this. Sometimes I like just putting stuff like this on, you know? But are you developers of visual novels? Hmm? If you are, let me know. Maybe I will check your stuff out. Again, though, uh, I didn't say that in this video, but in a previous video, just to reiterate, um, you know, do not be. See, I'm trying to add five toes, but it doesn't work at this angle. Don't be offended if I don't play or like your game, because I have very specific preferences. That's just how it goes. But who knows? Maybe I will like your game. And maybe I'll be like, hey, that's a cool one. And maybe I'll even make a little video shouting it out or something. I don't know. Again, like I said, um, in my previous video where I was touching up the other sprite of Etherea, um, YouTube's sort of strange. It's a little bit professional, it's a little bit personal. But yeah, I don't need to overthink it. If you have visual novels that you're making, let me know and I might play them. That's all I have to say. And also, if you don't make visual novels, that's interesting to me because this channel is all about making visual novels. Maybe you came here because you saw one of my older videos where I was doing like a general criticism or review of a title or other things that are only peripherally related to visual novels. You know what I mean? But honestly, I'm trying to make that stuff less and less. I don't want to be a rant channel. I don't want to be a review channel. I don't want to be overly critical. I want to make things. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. But if you got into this channel from those videos and you're still sticking around, well, hey, thank you. You know? Hmm, doing my best. See, feet I understand being a little bit more difficult for people. Not only because they're a little bit more difficult for me than hands are, but because they're not easy to reference at like a bunch of different angles. Like a hand, it's always right there in front of you, and you can just pose it however you want. But a foot, that's a little trickier, eh? I think it is. Yeah, I don't think I'll have the time to finish up everything. But that's okay. Hey, I'll record until the timer goes off, and then I'll just finish off the rest of the video. I mean, sorry, just finished off the rest of the drawing off camera, and I'll show the final picture at the end of the video. What do you think? I think that sounds fine. I guess speaking of AI, don't use it. It's not worth it. I think people fall into using AI because they think it's a cheap shortcut. But like if you're at all serious about like starting a career in something, using AI just tarnishes your reputation. I might have said this before, but it really just isn't worth it. If you use it even a little bit, people will wonder, like they'd be like, well, this person cheated here. Who knows what else they've cheated on? You see what I mean? Like you'll never be able to. I mean, after a while, probably people would give you a second chance, but you might as well just not do it. It's really not worth it. And it doesn't improve your art in any real way. It's just, it feels cheap and it is cheap, and people would always second guess what you're doing and what you're making and whether or not it's real. It's just a bad time. Don't do it. No replacement for actually just doing stuff. That's all. And I feel sad for specifically kids who are going through this sort of thing because back in my day, wow, when I was young, I, kids were tempted to trace, right? And not develop as an artist that way because it's easier to trace. And it doesn't teach you how to draw. It's cheap and crappy. It's similar to AI in a way, but you know, if anyone's actually serious about being an artist, don't trace either. You should get used to drawing without tracing, and you'll be happy that you did, because all of a sudden you could draw whatever the heck you want after enough practice. So I shouldn't have said all of a sudden, but look at her, there she is. Anyway, but these days kids are tempted not just to trace, I'm sure they're still tempted to trace, but now they're tempted to use AI. And it's like at a glance, to the person who's wanting to draw good art, or who doesn't want to draw at all but wants to have something that looks good, at first glance, it seems like a dream come true. And I don't blame people for thinking that way at first. I understand. But, after a while you realize it's like, oh, this was all stolen, and I don't want to support these companies, and it's not actual, like, it's not mine, and it's tarnishing my reputation, and it's not helping me get better, and it's just not worth it. That's all that comes down to. It's just not worth it. So, honestly, you'll feel better. Like, it's always the thing is with cheap shortcuts is it's always easier, but just because something's easier doesn't mean it's worth doing. So much of the time, every once in a while, there'll be something that like I really disagree with, and I'm like, no, I'm like morally opposed to this. And they'll be like, oh, it's so fast. And it's like, it's not about it being fast or easy. That doesn't change the fact that I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? If you honestly are opposed to something, don't do it, I think. Or, well, yeah, if you're honestly opposed to something after praying, you pray about it, think about it, soul search about it, wonder why you actually feel the way you do. But, like, even if you can't put your finger on why something rubs you the wrong way, like, it can still be, like, life is so confusing and complicated, and we cannot put our fingers on the solution for everything. And if in the end you can't explain why you don't like something, but you just know that you don't like it, sometimes that's perfectly valid, I think. Because I think the alternative is to talk yourself into doing something that you knee jerk, like you honestly were not comfortable with, and you had just talked yourself into, well, I guess technically speaking, maybe there's nothing wrong with it. And it's like, well, maybe your first impression was right. But then again, sometimes it depends on the situation, right? Because it can be very easy to have a completely irrational how should I phrase this in a way that's constructive? Let's see. It can be very easy to just not think about anything at all and just be like, nope, because I said so. And it's coming out of a place of anger and like something that you need to deal with as a person, that like you actually do need to face it and you do need to think about it. But if in the end, like you have thought about it and it's still just like, yeah, like I can't put my finger on it, but no, I'm still not comfortable with that. I feel like that's fair, you know? Mm, again, life is complicated. Okay, how's my time? 3 minutes. I cannot finish that. I cannot finish this in that amount of time. That's okay. As you can see, this wing is at maybe a little bit of a stranger angle here. Okay, I see what's going on. This here is actually uh, the trunk, I guess you could say, of the wing. Let's see here. Or the stem, I guess you could say, like a leaf. I do like how her wings look. I'm very glad that right now I have an opportunity to, like, I'm in a place in my life where I can just tell love stories and just try to spread some beauty around and try to spread some rationality around and just try to make things that are good. And if this takes off, I'll be able to do this as like my entire career, and that would be awesome. Because I love doing this, and I could do this all my life until perhaps I become so old that I just am like, feeble minded. But if I could do this, like honestly make a living making beautiful things, I think that would be really cool. That this is what I want to do. I think that would be really cool. Maybe it will work. Maybe, every once in a while I like talking this way because it's romantic. Maybe I'm listening to this years in the future, in 2035 or something. And maybe at this point in my life, the me that's listening to this is looking back and being like, I remember when I felt that way. That was 60 games ago. Before I picked myself up, I was still real small. And I was so uncertain that it would work out, and it worked out. Maybe that's what's happening. If that's what's happening, that's really cool. Oh, the alarm. Oh no. Can I add a little bit more detail? I haven't forgotten about you, me from the future. The alarm just cut me off, that's all. You have a good day. It's always sort of weird talking to me from the future, too, because, you know, it is a little strange. I don't know how I'll be feeling. Also, it's not like me from the future can talk back. You know what I mean? So if I'm trying to have like a conversation, it's going to be one-sided. But anyway, you have a nice day, me from the future. You do have a nice day. Well, I'll do what I said. Well, I'm pretty close to being done, I guess. Maybe I could just finish it in this video. Nah. I said that I'd be done working in an hour, so I think I'm done for the day. I'll finish this off tomorrow, I guess. And when I do, I will share the finished piece at the end of this video. All right. Take care, you guys. And yeah, I don't really have all this YouTuber stuff down. Uh, peace, y'all. See you in the next video. Take care. Hey everyone. How are you doing? I am working on Etherea today. I figured, hey, I might as well just actually record it. So I have my timer set up. I figure I can probably finish her up in half an hour. I just didn't quite have enough time last time. But yeah, I'm actually recording on a new/old setup. And maybe I'll chat about that a little bit as I go. But let's go. Okay. So this is... I kind of just woke up. This is 2 days after you last heard me speak. And that is because the other day I was working on other pictures. Not this one. I was planning on working on this one, but time kind of got out of hand. Because I was like, oh, well, I'll work on this one, and then I'll work on... It shouldn't take that long, and then I should work on 2 other pictures that same day. But yesterday, time kind of got away from me, so I was like, I'm just going to do 2 backgrounds instead. So I did 2 backgrounds, and they turned out good. I did the raft. And then I did the flooded room in the library. And they both turned out good. The flooded room in the library I thought would just be super duper easy. But I ended up putting more detail into it than I expected, but I like it. I put like a little poster up on the wall to give like a little bit of in-world world building kind of thing. Does that look right? No, that's a little too high up compared to her other one. Okay. And I ended up doing like some perspective and like well, I worked on like some mechanical things in the room. Like I had like a plastic folding table, and I had to look up a reference for a hacksaw because there was a hacksaw. But yeah, it turned out good. And I had fun doing the little poster. So it was basically like a little room that the library employees would be in every once in a while. Kind of like a lost and found room or something in the back. Well, not really in the back, but you get the idea. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if they had one of those? Like, wouldn't it be cute and appropriate if they had one of those posters that was like relating to the library, maybe like a kind of cheesy poster encouraging kids to read, or celebrating some kind of event that was going to be taking place in the library or something at the time. So I did that, and it was fun. And I got to when in in Submerged Lights and other works, I like keeping the language vague. What I mean is, canonically speaking, I like keeping the language that the characters are actually speaking vague, and the language that the characters are actually reading vague. For some reason, it's fun to me. Like I said in the previous part of this video, I think I'll release this all as one big video. As I said in the previous part, I find language interesting. So I play with it a little bit sometimes. Okay. So that's fine. I don't know if I can add something. I don't know if I can add something here, because this is like right where her lines are both matching up and overlapping. I guess that sort of works. Maybe I can put something here too. Because this is a pretty big line. And yet, I don't know. Do you feel like it's sort of distracting? That looks good. Yeah. I mean, her wing here is a slightly different shape than other times that she appears in, so I might edit that a little bit. But like I said in the previous part of the video, I don't particularly mind a little bit of inconsistency as long as you know what's going on. A little bit of inconsistency can feel a little bit pleasantly rustic. Let's see. But yeah, that room in the library is where Andrew, the protagonist, meets Galena, the other fairy, who goes unnamed, by the way, in the project as it is. She only had a name in an earlier iteration of the project when she was going to be a love interest. But because she has a very minor role now, that looks good. Yeah. Like I thought, I didn't have a lot of work to do left. Now I'll just work on her background. And I'll use... Right, so this is a new setup, so I don't actually have the other picture of her for reference. Well, that's fine. I don't really need it. I might do a little bit of detail on her hair. Okay, I'll do some detail on her hair. Oh, that's right, I need to do this part here. Fill this up, because this is supposed to have her hair. Doesn't just disappear. Okay. But for the last few days now, including today, I've had the song Uptown Girl stuck in my head. It's just really catchy and cute and fun. Oh, just sharing what's on my mind. But seriously though, is it stuck in your head now too? It's just really fun and cute and catchy. And upbeat. But yeah, there we go. There we go. That's looking better. And then I'll have. There we go. There we go. She's coming together. There. Maybe a little bit of stuff here. That's good. Yeah, there we go. Now she has good looking hair that doesn't just disappear into nothing. So I've gone back and forth a little bit on whether or not her wings would be transparent. Honestly, it's just easier to draw them opaque. So, like, if I was just drawing one or two pictures of her, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just make them transparent. But, you know, this isn't like a traditional painting or something. This is a visual novel, so I kind of need to draw her over and over. Not that I have a bunch of pictures of her in here, but it's not like I'm just drawing one traditional piece of her, you know? If I was just doing one piece of her, then I think I'd be more open to doing the transparent wings. But also, I've been drawing on more of a time limit, which honestly has been really nice. I feel like I'm able to get stuff done, you know? Even yesterday. I didn't record yesterday. I just drew yesterday. So it's nice to know that I don't need to like record for you guys in order to draw. Which is nice. But yeah, it just happens. When you put a timer on, it's like, okay, I'm locked in. This is what I'm doing. Here I go, you know? And then you actually get stuff done, and you'd be surprised how little time it actually takes. Although sometimes you'd be surprised at how long things take. But I think most of the time, if you give yourself like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, I've got 19 minutes left here. And I'm already largely done what I need to do or want to do. Okay, so that's like that. Again, not doing her expressions today. Her expressions will be on a later day. In the past, I tried to be like, oh, I can... What's the difference? Expressions, expressions. No big deal. I can just pretend that it doesn't take any time and just do those at the same time. It's like, no, it takes time. It really does. But you know, you just get used to this stuff as you do it. Go figure. And already I can feel that it's becoming a habit. Like yeah, a background. Like, I can pretty much draw whatever I need to between, like, 1 and 2 hours. And then I can just be like, well, I'm waking up. I have art to do today. I'll do 2 pictures. It's just not that big of a deal. And I like that. And I knew that would happen. There she is. So that's what I've changed. Okay. Now. That looks a little bit higher. I don't think it's really a big deal. It's fine. She looks nice. She looks good. Okay. So now I'll work on the background, which is just whatever I feel like. Don't worry about it too much. It's an abstract thing. So before I was thinking maybe I would draw these sprites specifically in what is clearly like a flying pose. Like that her wings would be very clearly being used and such. But honestly, a lot of the time when she's out of her lantern, it's not like she's constantly flying around. So I just sort of left it that it could be either one, you know? Looks like I ended up doing a little thing here. I forgot this on her foot. There we go. Yeah, she's looking good. After this, what am I gonna do? I don't know. That is to say, I wrote a list of the other pieces that I need to do or want to do today, but I forget what they are, and I don't have the list right on me right this second. It's somewhere else in the room, so I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm going to be doing the mind mouth background and another one of Etherea sprites. Yeah, I'm wanting to do another one of Etherea sprites in its entirety, aside from the expressions. Just having fun. Yeah, just sort of because I've been doing pretty good in terms of, you know, making artwork as a habit. But I think the next step is to convince myself that it's not a big deal and I can do a sprite from start to finish in 2 hours without the expressions. Because I know I can. But in like psychologically I'm like, sprites, that's a big deal, you know? There she is. This is not done yet, but this is what I'm going for. This sort of thing. But yeah, honestly, I'm not going to be like... earlier in this video, I assumed that I would be doing some... How shall I say... speed ups. Some time lapses. But honestly, I think the real thing here is that it's just okay for me to go quiet now and then for a while and not worry about constantly talking. And also, I just wanted to say, this is kind of fun, and we can treat this like an art camp. And if I don't time lapse, then it's like you understand like the real amount of time going into this stuff, and you can work kind of on your own thing as I am working on stuff too. And I set timers so you can be like, oh, he set a timer for half an hour, and I'll hear the alarm go off. Maybe I'll work on something for half an hour, you know? It's fun. There we go. This is turning out like I want it. So as you can probably tell, I like drawing on opaque backgrounds. And because of that, I need to end up cutting them out like this. Which takes a little bit of time, but honestly it's relaxing, so I don't mind. And yeah. Working on opaque backgrounds. Well, I've been watching Bob Ross lately, like I said, and there's like kind of a thing that he talks about that is sort of similar to stuff that can happen in digital. And what I mean is, if you're working on an actual color, when Bob Ross is talking about it, he's talking about how he covers the canvas in a liquid white sometimes, and then that way his colors just will naturally blend with the liquid white as he's working on it. Excuse me. And with this, it's sort of similar, because if you have a color down and you're working on the same layer, then your colors will just naturally blend with it. So you might have seen earlier in this video that sometimes I have like a fully black layer, and then I set it to like addition or something, and then the layer completely goes away, or it seems to completely go away because there's no addition to be done because it's a black layer. It's just completely black. But the reason that I do that is because then I go into that fully black layer with white or other lighter colors, and then that blends with the black, even though the black is invisible. So it just helps me to have like a less harsh color right off the bat. But she's turning out good, don't you think? Honestly, part of this is really cool and surprising, and not at all surprising, because I think a lot of the time people who don't do art or think of themselves as artists but don't do much art just sort of get into the habit of thinking that it's like, oh, I can't do that. It just won't ever get done. I'm not going to be able to finish anything. But that's just not true. Like, and setting a timer, it really is just like, okay, one way or another, I'm going to draw something, and maybe I'll even have a finished piece in, say, an hour or two, you know? And even if you don't get it done, you've still started a piece, and you can be like, oh, well, this didn't take me an hour. Maybe it'll take me an hour and a half. And then you just set a timer for half an hour, like I'm doing right now. And then you can finish it off, maybe. How much time do I have? 7 minutes? Yeah, that sounds reasonable. I can probably finish this in this amount of time. I'm almost done the tracing, and then I can just do like little sparkles and effects on her background. But this is a new old setup. So I had an old computer, an old laptop, which I felt the need to replace because the charger cable was really bad. It was very frayed and it was falling apart. And there were also some other little things, like some buttons were missing on it. And there were like some issues where it, like, you know, it wouldn't right click all the time when you tried to right click, and you know, maybe it's a little slower. It was years old at the time. And anyway, so I ended up getting a new computer. And this was in like 2025, I think. Pretty sure. And I felt kind of guilty about it because, you know, getting a new computer, that's a big purchase. But anyway, it was good for me to get the new computer, and the new computer works well and everything. And I'm glad that I have it as like, because I'm trying to do this as like my livelihood. So it makes sense to just have a computer that actually works. So, okay. But then later I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I used the second computer for something? I think the main issue is really the charger cable. So I ended up finding the exact charger cable online. I've never picked up a charger cable online before. But I ended up finding the exact one that it uses. And now I'm recording on this one. And I'm like, hey, this is nice. I can have this as like kind of my dedicated art station. And I can just use it as like a secondary laptop for whatever. So that's nice. And it's much lighter than the new one that's like a heavy-duty thing. There's her background. Okay, so now I can add to this background and just have it on clipping layers and stuff. So, okay. Something that I liked with Galena's piece is that I put some like subtle swirls. Because honestly, I like subtle swirls. I just like spirals and swirls and stuff. I think it's cute and artistic and fun. I like it. So I'm adding a few little swirls here. Originally, Etherea in the silent column, I might have talked about this once before, but the setting of the silent column is what you might call post-apocalyptic. And one of the features of it is for quite a while, there isn't any like electricity. And it kind of threw me off because originally I was drawing Etherea's kitchen. What's going on here? Okay. Don't know what was going on there, but anyway, I was drawing Etherea's kitchen and I had forgotten about that. And so I drew her stove as like an electric stovetop with the elements. Solely because I liked the swirls, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm drawing little swirls. But then I had to go back and be like, well, technically speaking, that doesn't actually make sense for the setting. So I ended up redoing her stove to be gas powered because I was like, oh, well, let's say that their gas powered stoves don't really need electricity and they're kind of like big uh, camping stoves, you know? Where it like has like a little ignition thing, it releases a little bit of gas. Yeah. But I still really like swirls, so I like putting them in if or when it's appropriate. I don't know how I feel about whistling um, while I draw, because I like whistling while I draw, but when I'm recording, I know that you guys can't hear it, so well, it's fine. If I want to whistle, I guess I can whistle just for myself. I shouldn't do this. I have the instinct to do that, but what that does is it draws your attention away from her. So I should try not to do that. Instead, right, what's my time? Oh, 13 seconds. I ended up kind of just zoning out. There it goes. Yeah, that looks good. What do you think, guys? Well, I think that looks quite nice. It's not infinite, is it? Okay. Good. I set it for going off for 15 seconds. I'll set it for 10 next time. But yeah, I think she looks pretty good. Maybe I'll just use this time to do a little bit of tweaking. Just do a little bit of tweaking. Just to blend these into the background a little bit more. I don't want to go too over time, but if I don't feel like it's entirely done, then this is my time to finish up, you know? Okay, just wrapping up. This is part of why I say it must have been really difficult. Like Bob Ross had to very specifically adhere to like the uh, studio requirements, you know, like the broadcasting requirements. Like his show was only ever so long, right? And he needed to stop at a very rigid time. But I get to spill over a little bit, which is good. Yeah, I think that looks good. Look at her. She's a spirally lady. Maybe here a little bit. Yeah. And maybe I'll blur this a little bit. And then go in and take some of this away. I do like doing this sort of thing. Leaving certain things soft, you know? Mm-hmm. That looks good. And then I think I'll... So half an hour really isn't a huge amount of time, I guess. Makes sense that I'd be going over a little bit. But I do have other work to do today, so I shouldn't go super crazy. Uh-oh, it's starting to slow down. That's because I have so much stuff happening. So I'll just work on it on its own for a while. Weird, it's still sort of slow. I'm just going to work on a little glow effect, and then I'm going to be done. Okay. Maybe something like so. And then I'll bring her back. And then I will clip it like so. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, there she is. So, this is what I mean. I know I went a little over time, but that was fun. It wasn't that difficult. It didn't take forever. And now we have a finished art piece. There we go. And like I said, I will come back later and do more facial expressions for her, but I think she's turned out well. So that's it. Um take care, you guys. And excuse me. I don't know how often I will do these sort of art camp videos. Because some of the pieces are kind of more sensitive and I wouldn't feel right talking over them, you know? But every once in a while I'll do one of these. And I think it was fun. I just noticed one thing that I would like to correct here, which is just this sleeve. There, that's good. All right. And I just need to not agonize over making everything absolutely perfect. Because I think she's good the way she is. Okay. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be, whatever that's about. Wishlist Snowdrift on Steam. It'll be out. I'm planning on releasing it on May the 15th. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. And thanks for listening. And thanks for drawing with me if you drew with me. All right. See you. Actually, on this new setup, it occurs to me that maybe you can hear me whistle. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe. Maybe you can hear it. Anyway, take care.